Hello, evening. Welcome back. Just a quick thing. I saw something earlier today that the Black and Moor is no more. It would appear to be operating under a different name. This is the notorious pub in Preston, Lancaster Road, known for its cheap pint, even cheaper clientele. Apologies to anyone who drinks there. I make jokes about the Black and Moor because it is known for being a bit rough, and it even made a couple of appearances in poems of mine. Most notably the poem I haven't found her yet, not in the Black and Moor anyway. So blessings to the Black and Moor. We hardly knew ye. So on tonight's business, I'll maybe do something about assisted dying at some point, because that's been in the news this week. But I wanted to do something, because I'm going to do a series on this coming up, about the subject of two lies fallacies, and how two lies fallacies work, how and why people find themselves in two lies fallacies, and why you see so many of them playing out in the public arena, and in terms of the very, very poor quality of public argument that you see in many places, whether that's mainstream television, news, newspapers, whatever. They are absolutely riddled with these two lies fallacies, and it's worth going into what they are exactly. So I suppose the home of two lies fallacies would be the television program Question Time, or as somebody I was quite fond of used to call it Questionable Time, which is for those who are watching somewhere else or aren't familiar with questions, it is a series of questions asked by people in the audience, some of whom have turned out to be plants. That's not a conspiracy theory at all. That's actually been demonstrated and proven. But they will ask a question, someone from the audience, and then you'll get 5 panelists, and you might get 2 from the left of the political spectrum and 3 from the right, or vice versa. And they will and they'll duke it out, and you'll generally end up with 2 arguments forming around that question. A yes and a no. A yes, we should, and no, we shouldn't. And then it actually gets rather repetitive. But then 10 minutes in, the chairperson, I think it's that woman who used to do the news. They'll ask another person in the audience their question. They'll ask their question, and the whole thing repeats again. And it's right, it serves a purpose, in that it's quite entertaining because it's got kind of a bear pit kind of formula to it, but also it does kind of keep people on that kind of it managed to keep people on that two lies paradigm, well, presenting the idea that they are well informed. I think when I was sort of in my late 20s, early 30s, I started to pick up on this, and I was like, actually, you know what, these aren't the only 2 games in town, but we'll come to that in a minute. So there are many, many good examples of two lies fallacies, and we'll come to a few of those. But in the middle of a two lies fallacy, and how do I spot one? And you'll generally find that there'll be things that will mark out that the argument being had is a two lies fallacy. And there's 2 main ones. One is that you'll get these 2 very, very emotional sides emerge on the issue. They'll become very heated. It will become rather nasty in places, and it will become rather sort of like it's very tribal, and it's all about that, my side good, the other side bad, and it's often the case because when you're dealing in such a logicality, and when the reasoning behind what you're doing is flawed, then actually, it has a kind of brain drain effect on people. It's like they take leave of any kind of ability to reason or establish any kind of logical capacity at all. And as a result, you end up seeing that the quality of these arguments. A very good example would be Brexit versus Remain. The Brexit versus Remain referendum. I mean, the thing that I kept pointing out after the fact, and a few people did pick up on at the time, was just forget the sides for a minute. How terrible is this argument? how poor is the quality of this Leave versus Remain argument? And it's because there was a fundamental problem. If I come to this, is the other thing you're looking for. So that really is it. You get heated, irrational, illogical, tribal, nasty, childlike sides squabbling with each other because actually they've already gone down the kind of illogical, irrational on the game of snakes and ladders. They're already well gone. The other thing is that if you drill down a little bit and you listen to what's being said, then you'll find that there is invariably a flawed premise behind the piss poor argument that's being had. That's if you're doing some root cause analysis, why am I having to listen to this hysterical argument? A very good example, a very, very good example of that from several years ago was during the gay marriage debate. That was absolutely appalling. Both sides of that debate deserved to lose it. It was absolutely horrendous because there was a deeply flawed. So you had these very militant people who wanted gay marriage for the wrong reasons. Actually, they wanted it because they wanted to wind up religious people. Let's be clear, that's the real reason that they wanted it. They wanted gay marriage because they felt that it would upset people they wanted to upset. There was nothing wrong with the arrangement where they had civil partnerships, but they wanted to grape people. They knew that if they got this next thing, it would upset some people they really didn't like. And some of these people who they didn't like, by the way, probably deserved to be disliked. And some of them were nasty and were bigoted, and I'm not disputing that. And if you actually drill down into the flawed premise behind that, and I remember that debate being absolutely horrendously bad, and just wanting everybody involved to go away. And the flawed premise behind that argument was that the rest of us should all have a kind of, we should all care deeply about other people's sex lives. We should all be kind of interested or have a kind of sense of approving or disapproving. When in reality, it's got nothing to do with us. It's got nothing to do. What two other consenting adults are doing has got nothing to do with you. There's no approval for you to give or not give. And actually, the Bible bashing weirdos on one side who wanted to poke their nose into other people's private business, and the heterosexual people who are getting on the LGBTQ bus and are being a bit weird about it. Frankly, I found them to be two rather unpleasant sides of the same coin. In reality, it's got nothing to do with you. But once you've agreed that it is amongst yourselves and you've decided to have a debate about it, that's the result. That's where arguing about a flawed premise will get you. It will get you a terrible argument. And that's often the way with these two lies fallacies, and there are so many of them about. And you find that when people get stuck on these two lies things, they become so tribal about their side winning. I mean, this is the thing with do you ever feel like civilization's going backwards and people are going backwards because their ability to construct logical, reasoned, honest arguments and be logically consistent, it's just gone out the window. I mean, you're seeing this now with people sticking up for this Reform UK guy. I mean, it turned out he didn't push his girlfriend at all before the election. There's this thing that came out before the election. He pushed his girlfriend in an argument. It turned out he'd been kicking her while she was on the floor or something. He'd seriously hurt her. It was quite a serious. But you're getting people defending that. You're getting people over Partygate. You're getting people who. Actually, the reality is that both teams, the red team and the blue team, were breaking Partygate rules, Partygate COVID lockdown rules on quite a scale. And we're having little parties amongst themselves, little gatherings that they shouldn't have been having. And yet, you get sides lining up and going, but it was the other lockdown, the old whataboutery thing. And this is the thing: once you get into that, you've abandoned this idea of being logically consistent. This is the bus you end up on. So I remember the Brexit one, the Brexit debate, the actual referendum debate. as opposed to the subject itself. But, it's not a secret to anyone who knows me. I'm absolutely for the principle of Brexit, just on the basis that being a little bit more independent than you currently are is no bad thing. It's a good thing in and of itself. It's like, if you're a young person, should I move out of mum and dad's house? Yes, as soon as you can afford to do so, as soon as you've got enough money to live on, do it. Absolutely, it will be fantastic for you. And as a country, it's good for you too, right? Be as independent as you can. I know the world's changed and glorious isolation isn't an option, but be as independent as you can. But that's not what this, on a personal level, that's not what this was about either. Because actually Brexit, for me, wasn't it always about restoring power to the most local level possible, but the most local level possible actually being, where possible, individual people, right? And then maybe the local level, the regional level, and that's before we get into giving national government more power. But actually, what you saw as that debate unfolded was it became a kind of choose your tyrant situation. It became Brussels or Westminster. Westminster was determined to use Brexit if they could get it as a Westminster power grab. You're just trading one tyrant for another. It's like, well, it's like that old line in Trainspotting, isn't it? It's that whole, who would you like to be colonised by? Actually, if I could get out of Lancashire County Council, I would, at an individual level. That's kind of how I look at these things. But it had gone away, and it had gone to the flawed premise of, hey, who would you like to shove you around? Well, who agreed that we need someone to shove us around? Who agreed that? So that is why, actually the Brexit debate went down the road that it did, and seems so alien to so many people. It just lost so many people intellectually as well. They just seem to switch off from it entirely. And that's really where a two lies fallacy gets you. The absolute ultimate two lies fallacy is, of course, Israel versus Palestine. And if you look at how hysterical and how irrational and logically inconsistent everyone becomes about that, look, we'll do a separate video on Israel and Palestine. But the short answer is that there are no good guys in that debate, only bad guys on all sides. There is no point picking a side in that one, because look, you're going to have to defend some pretty terrible things come what may. Why don't you just, if you actually come at it from the point of, I don't have to pick a side, I can agree that both sides are bad. And then it starts to make a lot more sense. You don't have to line up on the side of the road here, reject the flawed premise, and actually engage reason and logic. And you'll find that this thing with Israel and Palestine, it's turned people absolutely crazy. I mean, there are people in this country who seem to care far more about the Middle East than they do about Britain, or any of the nations of Britain. It seems to just consume people's minds on a major scale. So, look, maybe a bit of homework if you fancy it. Maybe we can do this. I don't know. If you want to go through an episode of Question Time, and we can pick out the two lies fallacies and what we think of the flawed premises driving them, we can do that. So, if you want to do a comment on the video, then please do, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.